It's now time to start doing the exercises with our Reebok deck. To begin with, you need to put the deck into the high bench position. To do this, simply open up the legs. Sit yourself on top of the deck and you're going to be ready to do your tricep dips. All you need to do is place your hands on the side of the deck and bend your elbows so that they go to approximately 90 degrees. Bear in mind that this exercise works in both directions, so you need to go smoothly both down and up. You're aiming for between 10 and 20 repetitions. For your next exercise, we need to put the bench into its decline position. And that simply means that you close the leg at one end, take your resistance tube from the storage compartment, and slot the tube into one of the slots at the open foot. Having made sure that the tube is secure but can move freely through the groove, what you need to do is take the handles into your hand, lie yourself down onto the surface, and lengthen your arms above you so that you can feel the resistance on the tube. From there, the idea is you're going to perform a sit-up, but it's a special sit-up because it has resistance. Don't think about lifting particularly high. The objective is to work against the resistance. Always bear in mind that this exercise works in both directions. So whilst you can focus on lifting up as high as you can comfortably, you must also focus on lowering back down gently and under control. Keep your breathing nice and smooth, and when you finish that exercise, just place the tubes back down onto the floor. And we're now going to stand on top of the deck to perform a standing row. So with the tube in the top end of the deck, you need to be standing at the bottom. The idea is you want to have your knees just very slightly bent and holding onto the grips, pull them in towards your ribs. A good guide is that if your thumbs touch your ribs, you'll know you've pulled in far enough. Once you've done that, you gently release against the resistance so that you work your bicep muscles in both directions, contracting and also lengthening. Another option for this exercise is to perform a single arm row. This is obviously going to be more difficult because you've got twice the resistance going through one arm. It also works your abdominals just a little bit because there's a mild amount of rotation going through the torso. Make sure you remember to do both arms, and you're looking to do between 10 and 20 repetitions on each side. Following on from our bicep exercise, we're now going to move on to some triceps. The press up is a classic exercise, and when you perform it on the inclined deck, a lot of people find it more comfortable and more achievable. You can place your hands at the very top of the deck, and you'll find that the rounded edges make it very comfortable. Now, it's important to get the correct body position. If you watch, you can see there's a straight line going from the shoulder to the hip, the knee, and the ankle. That's what you're trying to achieve. Press-ups are great for the upper body, and they also work the abdominals. So following that, we want to do some more abdominals, lying on the deck with our feet flat on the floor. We're curling up and slowly lowering down. Notice that the hands are at the side of the head. At no time do we want to put our hands behind our head because there's a temptation to pull on the neck, and we need to avoid that. Keep it nice and smooth, keep those feet flat on the ground, and breathe throughout the movement. The beauty of the deck is that you can move from one exercise to the next very smoothly. So following your sit-ups, we're just going to roll over and do back raises. It's really important in any workout that you get a good balance of the muscles that you are working. So if you've worked your abdominals, we now need to work the muscles opposing that in our lower back. So again, with our hands at the side of our head, Our toes just touching the floor, we're looking here for a back extension. Having worked the abdominals and the lower back, it's now time to move slightly higher up the body. We need to turn the deck into a bench now. So we've raised it back up to its full height again, and we're going to open the backrest up and put it into position number 2, which is at 45 degrees. We've still got our tube firmly secure in the back foot, and we're now going to take both hands by the grips and perform a chest press. Moving smoothly on to the next exercise, we sit up slightly so that we remove our use of the backrest and perform bicep curls. Keep your elbows nice and tight into the body. It's important to keep the head still and not to cheat by swinging the body backwards and forwards. Make sure you keep this action smooth in both directions, both the contracting of the bicep and also the lengthening of the bicep. Breathing is just smooth and relaxed. Having worked the biceps, we then go back to the triceps. The feet are flat on the floor, and with the chest press, we're working your triceps, a little bit of the front of your shoulders, and also your chest. Stand yourself up and adjust the backrest into the 70-degree position, which is position number 1, and then take the resistance tube in an overgrip. From here, we can perform a front raise. Front raise is a tremendous exercise for conditioning the shoulders, the muscles at the front of the shoulders called the deltoids in particular. A way of progressing this exercise is to simply sit up straighter so that you're no longer using the backrest, and that'll make the core muscles engage a little bit extra so that you're working your abdominals at the same time as your shoulders. The great thing about resistance tubes is you can move very smoothly from one exercise to the next. So having done our double front raise, we then move on to a single front raise. And the single front raise is just going to target those muscles a little bit extra and make them work that little bit harder. You're aiming to do between 10, 15 or 20 repetitions on each of these exercises. It's not a competition. What you want to do is think to yourself that it's important to keep the quality of movement very, very high. So in the last 4 or 5 repetitions, that's when it starts to get tough, and that's when you need to think, have I done enough? Don't feel you need to do 10, 15 or 20. If you've lost the quality of movement, you need to take a rest and start again in a minute. Now, with the deck in the 45-degree bench position, which is position number 2, we can move on to the seated row. What you need to do is slot the resistance tube into the groove in the backrest, and then sit yourself down on the floor, placing your feet flat against the deck's leg. You've got a slight bend in your knees, and you're sitting up nice and tall. Your abdominals are pulled in, and the objective here is to go for a full range of movement. And a good way of judging that is that your hands will just touch your ribs as you pull in. As with a lot of the other exercises, we can perform it with a two-hand or a single-hand movement. The single-hand movement generally gets a little bit of rotation into the activity, which is really, really beneficial for core conditioning. Make sure when you do one arm that you remember to do the other side as well. As you get better, as you progress, you'll find you can get a little bit more rotation into this movement. That's really, really good, but just make sure you keep your feet firmly flat against the side of the deck.